Think for a second about what your plate looks like on a regular day. In the morning, some bread with something savory on top. At lunch, that quick combo with something practical, often processed. In the afternoon, a little snack just to hold you over, almost always from a package. At night, something light but full of shortcuts. Instant soup, bread again, a bit of cheese, something easy so you don't dirty a lot of dishes. It all seems harmless, especially after 50, when a lot of people describe themselves as having weak bones and think that's just family inheritance or punishment from time. Then those phrases start to show up, the ones you may have already heard. Your bones are thinner, your bone density doesn't look great, any fall could be dangerous. You're told to be careful with steps, rugs, wet bathroom floors. In some cases, the first silly fracture appears. A fall inside the house, a slip in the backyard, a trip over something small. The scare passes, time heals, life goes back to normal. But almost no one really stops to look at what they're putting on their plate every day, at the combinations they repeat without thinking. When people talk about aging bones, most imagine something inevitable, as if the skeleton simply got fragile because the years went by. That's not exactly how it works. Time plays its part, of course, but it doesn't act alone. It's the daily choices, what you eat, how much you move, how much sun you get, the excess of some foods and the lack of others that can speed up or slow down that wear and tear. And among those choices, there's something almost nobody talks about. Certain food combinations, repeated every single day, work like a silent wear and tear on your mature bones. We're not talking about one isolated food you eat now and then. The issue is the sum of the excesses. Too much salt and too little food that truly feeds your bones, soda with a colorless plate, sweet after sweet pushing your weight up, day after day locked indoors with little natural light, and lots of coffee to get through the day. Each of these mixes, on its own, already weighs on you. Together, over the years, they leave the structure that holds you up way more vulnerable than it needed to be. In this video, the idea is to show you, with everyday examples, some of these combinations that age your bones from the inside out without making a sound. We're going to talk about plates loaded with hidden salt and almost no minerals, the dangerous pairing of soda, ultra-processed foods, and couch time, the trio of excess sugar, inflammation, and extra weight on your joints, and the combo of little sunlight plus caffeine on top, which steals your body's chance to actually use the nutrients you eat. It's not about throwing food away, but about looking more seriously at what keeps repeating on your table. Before we go on, drop a comment with your age and whether you've ever heard from someone, a doctor, a family member, or a friend, that you have weak bones, worn out bones, or that you should be afraid of falling and getting hurt. Also tell us, no shame, which combo shows up most in your routine. Bread with processed meats, soda with meals, sweets every day, packaged food always within reach. This exchange helps guide the next videos to your reality, not to some distant theory. And take a moment to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way, every time a new video comes out talking about choices that can protect or harm your body after 50, you get the alert right away instead of depending on luck. Sometimes a simple change in how you build your plate today means less pain, less fear of falling, and more freedom down the road. Now, with that picture of your plate in mind, repeated day after day, almost without question, let's start to understand calmly what it really means to say that your bones are aging and why that's not just about time, but about the mix of habits you've been feeding over the years. When we say aged bone, we're not talking about something that suddenly cracks out of nowhere. It's a slow, silent process that happens inside without giving many clues until one day it shows up as pain, a tiny crack, a fracture, or a constant fear of falling. On the inside, bone is alive. It's not a piece of chalk stuck in place. It's tissue that's constantly renewing itself, taking away and putting back minerals like calcium and phosphorus to keep the structure solid. After 50, that balance gets more delicate. The scale, which used to stay relatively even between what comes out and what goes in, starts tipping more easily toward loss. When that process speeds up, bone becomes more porous, more hollow, less dense. That means impacts that used to be no big deal, a stumble, a small slip, bumping into the corner of a piece of furniture, now have the potential to cause cracks and even full fractures. The person starts noticing pain that doesn't go away easily, discomfort in the spine, hips, wrists, and often begins to live with a kind of fear of moving. They go upstairs carefully, avoid dancing, go out less, feel insecure in places with uneven ground. It's true that age has its role in all this. Over the years, hormones change, especially in women after menopause. Nutrient absorption isn't the same. Some chronic illnesses show up, certain medications enter the routine, and, in parallel, the body tends to move less. But that doesn't mean bones just go bad for no reason. What you eat, what you skip, how you build your plate, how much sun you get, how much you move, how much weight you put on joints and bones, all of that affects how fast this aging happens. The big catch is that in real life, almost no one thinks about bones while they're putting food on the plate. People worry about sugar because of diabetes, fat because of the heart, salt because of blood pressure, but rarely ask, is what I eat every day helping or hurting my skeleton? And the bones, quietly, keep making sacrifices. When there aren't enough minerals circulating, they lend what they have to keep the rest of the body going. Only constant lending with no payback eventually gets expensive. That's where these food combinations come in. It's not just eating something salty, sweet, or processed once in a while. The issue is the always like this, lots of salt and little food that replaces minerals, soda with a plate that's poor in natural foods, daily dessert that leaves no room for options that truly nourish, very little fresh food, and lots of stuff from a box or bag. At the same time, little movement, little sun, little overall health care. That combo is the problem, not one single ingredient. When you label yourself as someone with weak bones, it can feel like there's nothing left to do, that all you can do is try not to fall, and in some cases, take specific medications when a doctor prescribes them. But in practice, your day-to-day keeps pushing your bones toward fragility if your plate doesn't change. It's no use thinking about bone health only when a fall happens. It's in the kitchen, at the table, at the grocery store, and in the tiny daily decisions where you can slow this wear and tear. In the next segments, the conversation gets out of theory and into your routine. The combo of too much salt with a plate poor in protective foods, the marriage between soda and ultra-processed stuff with a sedentary life, the trio of sugar, inflammation, and extra weight crushing joints and bones, and a mix of too little sunlight with caffeine on top, stealing your chance to really benefit from what you eat. The idea isn't to turn you into a food cop, but to show where the quietest blows against the skeleton of anyone over 50 are coming from. In the next part, we'll start with the pairing almost everyone underestimates. Lots of salt sprinkled throughout the day in almost everything that lands on the table, plus a plate poor in foods that give your bones strength and structure back. It's such a common combo that, precisely because of that, hardly anyone sees how much damage it can cause over the years. Take an honest look at your day. Where does salt come in? It's not just what you shake onto your food at lunch. It's in the breakfast bread, the sliced cold cuts, the canned food, the sausage on the weekend, the bouillon cube that adds flavor, the instant seasoning, the margarine, the crackers, the instant soup that seems light. When you add up everything you ate from morning to night, you realize almost every meal had some ingredient loaded with sodium. Inside, your body is trying to balance that all the time. To handle this excess, it has to change how it deals with water and minerals. Simply put, the more salt you put in circulation, the more your body tends to dump calcium out through your urine. It's as if, along with the salt that needs to go, small amounts of one of the key bricks that keep bones firm are going too. If that scene repeats itself day after day, week after week, for years, the math doesn't work. Your bones end up being used like a safe you always withdraw from, but almost never make deposits into. Now at another detail, many times, the plate of someone who abuses salt is especially poor in the foods that help replace what's being lost. Dark leafy greens show up rarely. Seeds almost never, beans and other legumes only sometimes, milk and dairy, when tolerated, often come in small amounts or are replaced by versions full of sugar and additives. The table fills up with tasty things, sure, but hardly any foods that really care for bone structure. It's the perfect setup to speed up damage. Lots of push toward loss, very little material for recovery. In everyday life, This shows up as little clues: brittle nails, the feeling that any bump leaves a bruise, stubborn back pain after standing for a while, discomfort in the hips, fear going down tall steps. When you do a scan that measures bone density and the result comes back below ideal, it seems like age or genetics are the only culprits. Almost no one asks how many super salty products are part of your routine or how your intake of bone-supporting foods is going. This is not about never again tasting a strongly seasoned dish. The real issue is frequency. Some people eat processed meats practically every day: ham, turkey breast, hot dog, sausage, salami. Others live on frozen ready meals, salty snacks from a bag, bouillon cubes, and instant flavor packets. When almost everything goes through those shortcuts, hidden salt becomes the rule. In a young body, this already takes a toll. In someone over 50 with bones that naturally need more attention, this excess adds up to a series of invisible blows. One simple way to start seeing this risky combo is to watch a full day of meals and flag everything that comes ready-made from a factory, with a big label and a long ingredient list. Then count how many times you added salt on top of something that was already seasoned. Next, look at the opposite side. How many fresh foods with real color made it onto your plate? How many times did you have dark leafy greens, beans or lentils, nuts, seeds, a variety of vegetables? In many homes, the answer is tough. Salt is everywhere, and what protects your bones appears only once in a while. Once you see that, you don't need to flip your life upside down overnight. Start by cutting back a bit on the salt that goes into the pot, swapping some of the ready-made seasonings for garlic, onion, herbs, and spices. Reduce how often you eat processed meats, canned foods, and instant soups. Make room in your main meals for at least one food that truly nourishes your bones. Small swaps, kept consistently, have a much bigger impact than one drastic change that lasts just a few days. The point is to understand that the problem isn't just liking salty food. It's keeping this combination of too much salt with a plate pour in real food for years on end. That's what makes your bones age ahead of schedule. When you change this base, you give your body a better chance to keep your structure strong, even as the years go by. In the next part, we'll talk about another combo that weighs heavily on the skeleton of anyone over 50: the marriage between sodas, ultra-processed foods, and a sedentary life, where your body hardly gets the physical stimulus bones need to stay strong. That's where poor eating habits and lack of movement team up to speed up a kind of aging that could be much slower. Notice how, many times, the drink that comes with the meal says as much as what's on the plate. A lot of people traded water years ago for soda, boxed juice, sugary bottled tea. Sometimes it's just a little glass at lunch, another at dinner, a sip here and there throughout the day. Along with that come the quick snacks: sandwich cookies, chips, burgers, fries, frozen pizza, delivery food full of fat and additives. Everything's super practical, strong flavor, easy to chew, barely any work in the kitchen. From your bones' point of view, though, this combo is a bad deal. These products usually bring a lot of sugar, a lot of sodium, low-quality fats and additives, but almost no nutrients that truly feed bone structure. In many sodas, for example, certain mineral components and the sugar overload create an environment where your body has to work harder to keep chemical balance. In other words, you're pouring in plenty of calories and very little building material for your bones. Over time, your body has to go looking for reserves somewhere, and often that storage unit is your own skeleton. Now pair this kind of eating with a life where your body hardly moves. After 50, it's common for work to become more sedentary, most trips to be done by car, and free time to happen in front of TV or phone. Walks grow rare, stairs are avoided, dancing disappears, activities that involve gentle impact vanish. But bones have a secret. They need to feel load, weight, moderate pressure to get the message that it's still worth staying strong. Without that signal, the quiet message becomes, "They're not using me, I can start thinning out." Picture a typical day: breakfast with something from a package, lunch with a sugary drink and a greasy plate, dessert, an ultra-processed snack in the afternoon, a light dinner in quantity, but again poor in natural foods. Between meals, many hours sitting, hardly any steps beyond the bare minimum around the house. In that combination, Your bones get few useful nutrients and almost no mechanical stimulus. It's like a structure that, at the same time, stops receiving quality bricks and spends months without being used for real. No wonder that, over time, it grows weaker. In real life, this often shows up disguised as phrases like, "I'm rusty," "My knees can't take it anymore," "My back is always complaining." Part of those complaints does have to do with natural joint wear, but another part comes from two factors: bones that lost density and muscles that got weak from lack of use. The body weight, often increased by calorie-dense, nutrient-poor foods, falls on a structure that gets neither the fuel nor the training it needs. The feeling is of an old body, even in people who could be feeling much more solid. What's interesting is that many people think that to care for their bones, they need complicated gym exercises with difficult machines. For bone health, simple day-to-day movements already help far more than you might think. Walking a bit more, taking some extra steps upstairs, avoiding long stretches sitting, standing up and sitting down without dropping into the chair, carrying light bags, moving your body regularly. What doesn't go well with your bones is the pair packaged food all the time and body almost motionless. Of course, no one is going to stop living just to never eat pizza or drink soda again. The key is understanding proportion and repetition. A heavier weekend full of processed food, surrounded by a more balanced week, doesn't have the same impact as a scenario where every single day looks like a quiet fast food festival. When what should be the exception becomes the rule, bones feel it. And after 50, every point for or against your bone structure counts much more than it did decades ago. Maybe you see yourself in this picture. Little movement, lots of screens, lots of sweet drinks, meals always paired with something ready-made and high-calorie. If that's the case, the goal isn't to shame you, but to turn on a warning light. This combo is aging your bones faster than necessary. By changing little by little what goes into your glass and making room for more steps in your day, you're basically telling your skeleton, "I still need you solid." In the next part, we'll talk about another risky mix for anyone over 50. The partnership between too much sugar, inflammation, and extra weight pressing down on joints and bones that are already more delicate. That's where a lot of people feel their body aching, knees complaining, back feeling heavy, and end up saying it's just old bones, when a good share of that discomfort has been literally fed by daily desserts. There's another pairing that looks harmless but punishes bones and joints quietly: excess sugar and widespread inflammation in the body. After 50, many people build almost a sacred ritual around sweets. It's the cookie with coffee, the chocolate after lunch, dessert because I deserve it, a slice of cake in the afternoon, sweet bread before bed. Alone, these moments look small. Added up, they become a constant stream of sugar in your bloodstream, day after day, year after year. That excess doesn't only affect your weight. It feeds silent inflammatory processes. The fat that piles up mainly around the belly isn't just stored energy. It acts like active tissue, releasing substances that keep your system in a constant mild irritation. That chronic irritation reaches joints, ligaments, the spine, and even the bones themselves. For the person feeling it, the result is a mix of morning stiffness, pain that comes and goes, the sense of a body heavy on the inside. As your weight goes up, the impact on the structure that holds you multiplies. Every extra pound has to be carried by your hips, knees, ankles, feet. In young, dense bones, the body can put up with this abuse for a while. In bones that have already lost some firmness, that extra weight acts like constant pressure, wearing down surfaces, overloading cartilage, pulling the spine into positions it doesn't handle as well. The feeling of old bones is usually the sum of fragile bone, inflamed joints, and weak muscles from lack of movement. Think of someone who never finishes a meal without something sweet. At first, it's just a little piece. With time, that piece has to be larger to bring the same comfort. At night, before bed, a sugary snack slips in almost automatically. At the same time, the body starts asking for less and less movement. It hurts to walk, hurts to climb stairs, hurts to get up from the chair. And because it hurts, the person moves less. The less they move, the harder it is to manage weight and inflammation. It's a loop that closes in against your bones. This kind of eating usually pushes aside choices that truly nourish. When a plate is always loaded with bread, pasta, sweets, and fried food, there's barely room left for vegetables, greens, fruits, seeds, foods rich in minerals and compounds that help fight inflammation. The body keeps getting fast-burning fuel, but almost nothing that helps maintain internal structure. Again, the bill lands on your bones. This isn't about never touching dessert again. The problem is turning sugar into a daily companion, several times a day, for years. In people over 50, that often comes along with rising blood pressure, poor blood sugar control, fatty liver, altered cholesterol. That whole package affects bone and joint health. When a fall happens, it's not just age that decides how bad the damage will be. It's all the background you've been building quietly in your kitchen and living room. Starting to look at this combo more seriously doesn't mean banning pleasure from your table. It means noticing that maybe you're paying far too high a price for a few minutes of comfort on your tongue. Cutting back on frequency, shrinking portions, choosing better moments when it's really worth eating something sweet already changes things a lot. At the same time, any step that helps take weight off your joints, moving a little more, stretching, walking within your limits, is a direct gift to your bones. Maybe you recognize yourself in this routine. Dessert every day, cookies at night, clothes getting tighter each year, knees complaining about stairs, back complaining about the bed. Seeing this link isn't a reason to feel guilty. It's an invitation to adjust. In the next part, the conversation goes to another very common combo in life after 50. Too little sunlight, lousy sleep patched up with more and more coffee, and a body that, because of all that, can't take advantage of the nutrients that still make it onto the plate. It's yet another quiet hit against bones that already deserved much more care. Now think about how your days are when it comes to sunlight and tiredness. Many people over 50 spend most of their time indoors. At home, at the store, on the bus, in waiting rooms, hallways, living rooms with windows mostly closed. When they go outside, it's quick, often at times when the sun is weaker or always covered by clothes, hats, shade. At the same time, sleep gets worse. You wake up at night, toss and turn, struggle to fall asleep. To survive the next day, the go-to solution is coffee. One first thing in the morning, another mid-morning, one more after lunch, maybe another in the afternoon so you don't crash. Sunlight plays a key role in bone health because it helps your body produce vitamin D, which is essential for using calcium and other minerals well. Even if you eat foods that provide these nutrients, if your vitamin D is very low, your body doesn't use them as effectively. It's like having bricks, but not enough mortar to fix them to the wall. In those who spend years with almost no sun exposure at the right times, this deficiency becomes common, and bones end up getting less than they need to stay solid. Caffeine, while it has its place, can get in the way when it shows up in excess. Large amounts of coffee, strong black tea, some sodas, and energy drinks day after day can contribute to increased mineral losses and also worsen sleep quality. You may feel more awake in a moment, but later you sleep worse, wake up tired, need more caffeine the next day, and so the cycle goes on. Your body lives in a half-alert state, never really resting. And the time when it should be repairing, adjusting hormones, and taking care of internal structures keeps getting shorter. Now picture the combo. Little sunlight, lots of time indoors, hardly any contact with outside light, broken nights, coffee after coffee just to function, eating habits that already aren't great, and mature bones trying to survive all of that. Even when you put something good on your plate, veggies, greens, some source of calcium, your internal environment isn't set up to make the most of that choice. It's like driving a car with a tired engine, poor fuel, and overdue maintenance. Plenty of people swear there's no way to change this. They say the neighborhood isn't safe, they don't have time to walk, they don't like the sun, the heat bothers them. Others have gotten so used to living indoors with artificial light that they barely remember what it's like to let their face feel a bit of daylight at gentler hours. But when we're talking about bones, this detail matters more than it seems. A few minutes of daily sun exposure, at times recommended by your health professional, already helps send a different message to your body. As for caffeine, the problem is almost never that one well-enjoyed cup, but using it as a crutch for everything. If you feel you only function on caffeine, that you get irritated or have headaches without it, that you need more and more to feel the same effect, it may be a sign you're pushing your body past its limits. Instead of looking only at the cup, it's worth asking, why am I this tired? How is my sleep really? What am I eating at night? Could my own caffeine overload be messing with the rest I need so badly? None of these changes has to be extreme. You can start with a few extra minutes of natural light per day, standing by an open window, taking a quick walk around the block at a milder time, always respecting individual guidance. You can cut back a little on how many cups of coffee you drink, avoid drinking it too close to bedtime, swap some stimulating drinks for water. You can adjust your evening meals so they don't overload your digestion. Small steps that, together, help your bones get more than they lose. When you pile up low sun exposure, poor sleep, and excess coffee on top of a diet heavy in salt, ultra-processed food, and sugar, you create the perfect scenario to speed up skeleton aging. On the other hand, when you start tweaking these pillars, food, movement, light, rest, little by little, you're sending another kind of message. I want my bones to keep holding me up. In the next part, we'll pull all of this together and look at how to reorganize your plate and habits without becoming a slave to a perfect diet, but taking these more destructive combinations out of the center of your life so your bones age at their own pace, not at the pace of the rush you've been putting on your plate. If you put together everything we've talked about so far, you start to see a pattern that might have been hiding in plain sight. It's not one single meal that ages your bones. It's the routine you repeat without noticing. It's the salt that sneaks into almost every meal, the sugary drink that replaces water, the daily dessert, packaged food always within reach, the body parked on the couch, closed windows, broken nights patched up with coffee. Each of these points, on its own, already matters. Altogether, they push your mature bones into a speed of where that could be much slower. The good news is you don't have to become a different person to start changing this picture. Instead of trying an impossible revolution in the kitchen, think of tweaks that fit your real life. Cut back a bit on salt in the pot and in ready-made seasonings. Reduce how often you eat processed meats, instant soups, and canned foods. Swap, in a few meals of the week, the soda for plain water or at most a less sugary option. Make room on the plate for at least one fresh, colorful food in every main meal. A serving of vegetables, a salad, a mix of grains. These steps look small, but repeated, they start adding up in favor of your skeleton. In the same way, you don't need to become an athlete. Moving a bit more within your limits and with your health professionals okay already makes a difference. Walking a few minutes, climbing a few extra steps each day, avoiding spending hours in a row sitting, standing up and sitting down carefully instead of dropping into the chair, finding some activity that gets your body going in a safe way. Those bits of gentle impact are the kind of signal that tells bones, don't give up, I still need you strong. When it comes to light and tiredness, it's worth taking a kind look at your routine. Maybe you can open the window more often, get a little daylight at good times, include a few minutes outside when it's possible and safe. Rethinking how much coffee you drink, especially at night, can help your sleep improve, and a body that rests better recovers better. When these changes sit alongside a plate less loaded with salt, sugar, and packaged products, the result, over time, is bone that loses less and gains more. If this video resonates with your reality, write down in the comments which combo you recognize the most in your day-to-day. Was it salt hidden in everything? A sweet drink with every meal? Mandatory dessert after lunch? A still life with your body crying for help? Or the mix of little light, broken sleep, and too much coffee? Putting that into words is almost like telling yourself which point you want to tackle first. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications too. That way, the next videos about health after 50 reach you effortlessly, helping protect not just your bones, but also your independence to do what you love. And if you know someone who keeps saying they have weak bones, who's terrified of falling but never takes an honest look at their own plate, send this video to them. Sometimes it's exactly a conversation like this that's missing for them to realize there's still time to change the way they eat, and with that, slow down the quiet aging of the structure that supports every step they take in life.